Hello and welcome to Firearm Freedom. This is going to be another first impressions video. In today's first impressions video, we are taking a look at my red right hand Recce LMG-L rifle. There are no sponsors to the channel right now. If you enjoy my content, 2014 style good old reviews, all you got to do is hit that subscribe button. If you want to go the extra mile, comment down below and just let me know what you think of my channel. Also, if you're looking to switch up your subscription feed, I have my B channel. As I checked this morning, FF Lifestyle had 392 subs. We are moving up. I post one video a week over there, and I promise each one will surprise you. Hit that card up in the right-hand corner of your screen now. I would greatly appreciate it. The behemoth on the table for review. I have a lot to go over with this upper. But first, of course, full disclosure, what is my relationship with Red Right Hand? Cody over at Red Right Hand is not only the owner, but is essentially the only guy over there making all of these uppers and putting them together. So that is pretty cool. But also he did send me this LMG-L upper to check out for this review. This upper is the very first L or light upper that he had put together, and also it has been shot before. So how this is going to work is I'm going to add more of a round count to this upper for some data in order to give back to him with this video that he has not seen ahead of time to see, okay, how is this upper performing with more rounds downrange? I am going to send this upper back to him. So this is not mine to keep long term. Cody did not ask me to say anything specific about this upper. I am going to give you my pros and my cons. And again, he is not seeing this video prior to it coming out to ensure that it is as honest and unbiased as possible. Cody did hook us up here with some ammunition for this review. He just grabbed it from SG Ammo. It's shipped completely separately. I built out this upper in exactly kind of the configuration that I wanted for now really a purpose-built lower for the Delta Team Tactical or really rare breed FRT trigger. So I had this trigger, we've done a whole series on this, and I wanted to build out a lower, and I was looking for an upper that would work. I got a Nightstick LGL 160 weapon light on here. When have you seen a freaking Nightstick light anymore? But I gotta say, I grabbed this light because of the price. I just paid for it. And I was very impressed, very, very impressed overall. And I cooked this thing 700 rounds in one range day. And this light held up like a freaking champ. And it was cheaper than any other rifle light out there. Came with all the accessories, so I was really jazzed up with that. Troy full-length vertical grip on here. So, you know, a lot of people, again, we all know about Troy. I'm not going to go into it too hard. As far as the lower, it's essentially a standard mil-spec lower. In this case, I did throw on the KNS Precision anti-walk and rotation pins for the Delta Team. And I have one of the new DT-PR stocks from Magpul. And the reason why I went with this stock is so that I can kind of grab and pull into my shoulder pocket similar to any sort of clubfoot stock on an RPK or something like that. For optic, this was another one that was actually sent to me by Element Optics. It is their immersive line. I'm going to be doing a full review of this optic in the future, but I was very, very impressed. I had never heard of these guys, and I was actually surfing around on Optics Planet for like, okay, what's a fixed power magnification optic that I could go with for a setup like this? What's out there that maybe I haven't seen? And Element popped up. I'm like, I have no idea who these guys are. It's their 5x30 optic, and I was, again, pleasantly surprised by the clarity of that glass, and it did really, really well. I'll be doing a full review on that optic here coming up very, very soon. How did this freaking upper perform? It did very, very well at the range. You have an H-bar, or I should say even heavier than H-bar barrel in the light variation that you see here. It's essentially just a standard H-bar profile, if I'm reading it right. And then you have these heat sink fins all along the barrel. And on top of the fins being there, you also have a straight and finned gas tube on this rifle. Although your rail is going to get incredibly hot, those heat sinks are designed to take away the heat from the working components of the rifle itself, meaning the barrel and the gas tube. I have always understood a gas tube on an AR-15 to be designed to fail. And although there is a kink in the gas tube that is going to get very eroded, it is going to be the first place to fail on an AR-15. And the reason why your gas tube is designed to fail is to protect the entire rifle from a catastrophic failure, meaning your barrel exploding or something along those lines. If anybody got these, let's say, to just a straight burn down, seeing when their point of failure was, I would be very curious to see if the gas tube still failed prior to the barrel, or if the barrel would blow because of how robust the gas tube is. Just kind of questions that came up in my mind. It also has a rifle speed adjustable gas block. I have kind of a love-hate relationship with adjustable gas blocks on AR-15s. In a setup like this, you can tune this thing with a suppressor to essentially be a freaking typewriter. Like, I was able to dial the gas down, and with a T3 buffer, a lot of people weren't familiar with the T3 versus H3. T3 is the spikes variation of an H3, but it's going to be, if I'm not mistaken, slightly heavier than an H3 and designed for high rates of fire or suppressed use. So that is what an H3 buffer is. And I also had an extra power spring from Red Right Hand, a Radian SD charging handle, and basically a standard nitrided bolt carrier group. I was running it on setting 6, and setting 4 or 5 was, again, basically like a freaking old school grease gun rate of fire, which was a lot of fun. The thing you're going to run into with this much adjustability is you can go overboard with the tuning, okay? I like an overgas gun a lot of the time because I know that whatever ammunition I put in there, whatever I do to the gun, no matter how adverse the environment is getting, it's gonna chug on through without any additional adjustments. You can get this perfect on the adjustment, and that's exactly how it's designed, but be aware that if you tune it to that extent, I had a 700 round single range day on a 90-degree day with this gun, all of which was high rates of fire. It's going to start getting very gunked up, it's going to get crudded up, and you may start running into some, like, what was that kind of weird issues if you're dialed into that exact amount, and you're going to have to tweak it throughout the day. So I think the rule of thumb is it's all about getting that gas setting to where it's a little overgassed, a little high on the gas, in order to run just under any conditions in that specific day or specific environment. The upper itself, I was very impressed at how reliable it was. I mean, right out of the gate, I had it on setting 6. I did 1 or 2 rounds of adjustment. Okay, where's my brass ejecting? Surprisingly, on 6 with the can, it was ejecting them perfectly, and it ran like that for a majority of the day. I mean, the crosshairs, dude, at 50 yards were just like perfect. Like, it was not even moving. This rifle, unloaded with a magazine in, was 18 pounds, my guy. 18 pounds. This thing is not going anywhere. Now, that's with all these accessories, but it was, again, horrifying in the prone position at how many rounds were going downrange and how quiet this setup was with my Spec War suppressor. If you're not familiar with the Spec War, this is a 9-inch can. This was the suppressor. Before Surefire was even a thing, it was the Spec War 762 from Silencer Co., and this was originally designed as a belt-fed 240 suppressor. So this thing can handle disgusting amounts of abuse. To give you an idea, with all of those mag dumps all in one string of fire, I didn't even get close to barely discoloring the Cerakote that was originally on this thing. Even with that, adding 9 inches to the total barrel, you still have a semi-wieldable overall rifle. I did shoot it from the shouldered position quite a few times. It is not easy to do, I'll tell you that right now. But I do think in this case, actually, your old school full-length broom handle vertical grip is actually kind of needed because it's so hot. I mean, it's unbelievably hot up here, and I had to actually old school grip it in the shouldered position unless I wanted to burn the shit out of my hand. And that is worth noting. Okay, I was at the very end of the range day having some random issues, and I'm still a little bit unsure. I'm pretty sure that the issues were because of the trigger, once again, but it could have been the upper as well. I really don't know one or the other, but what was happening and why I think it was the trigger and not the upper was that when it got hot enough, we're talking almost cook-off levels, okay? I was ejecting the brass because I was essentially getting a dead hammer, barely any or no hit on the primer. So the hammer was just following is what I would imagine because it was a dead trigger. And I would take out that brass, and the neck of the casing was, you couldn't even hold on to it. It was dangerously close, probably breaching 120 degrees and getting near cook-off. So this is no joke of an upper. If you're unfamiliar with high rates of fire or belt feds, they can cook off, and you know we're getting close to that. There's a reason why Colt uppers, LMG uppers back in the day were all open bolt, and it was all for cooling purposes. Unfortunately, because of the ridiculousness of the ATF, we cannot have open bolts anymore. But if we could, this would be a prime example of something you would want an open bolt on. So whenever I was not shooting or giving it 5 minutes to cool, I would keep the bolt to the rear, allowing just full airflow through the entire setup. But basically, when it would get that hot, I have a few different clips of this, the trigger would just stop working. Completely stop working in FRT mode. I would get strings of 10 and boom, dead trigger. Strings of 10, dead trigger, strings of 5, dead trigger. And it was very frustrating. Now, the reason why I think this is the trigger is because I would tap, rack the round out, get another one in, switch it to semi-automatic, and it would burn down the mag without issue. Burn down the second mag without issue. And then finally, when I would let the entire system cool, reasonably cool, it was still very hot, it would start running again as designed. So because I didn't have any of those issues in the beginning, when the rifle was not as ridiculously hot towards the end of the 700 and something rounds, like 750 round range day, I believe that the heat was causing something weird going on here with the tolerances, or the other possibility is that the system was so caked up with things that it was causing the cycling to slow down and not properly reset the hammer. I tested this and opened up the gas to setting 8. Side note on the gas adjustability, it gets hot, man. It gets hot. This was like hot. I mean, you're not grabbing this. So I had to break out like welding gloves to try to open this sucker up. I opened it up to 9, and my brass was ejecting to the forward position. So it was very clearly opened up on the gas, and I was still having those issues. Still higher rates, cycling rates, and again, still those issues when the system was getting this hot. So I'm having a hard time viewing these triggers, as I've talked about before, as any sort of like go to war, we'll say, purpose. It just, I think in a lot of situations, these can start getting a little finicky when they are pushed to the extreme levels. As far as the upper, it performed exactly as intended. And I mean, dude, 700 rounds in a 90-degree range day, I didn't even get discoloration on the barrel. That's ridiculous, okay? That's absolutely ridiculous. If you could feel the radiating heat off of this upper, it was impressive. And I think the fins were working exactly as designed. Kind of an interesting thought that I had as well is, what if you chopped the top portion of this rail? I'm sure you'd get a lot of liability there with people burning the shit out of themselves. But chop the hottest portion of your barrel, which is actually probably more towards the middle, and allow just the heat to radiate upwards. I think that would actually cause the lower portion of the rail to maybe not get as hot. I don't know, but this can all be mitigated again with the full length Troy vertical grip. Have a GG&G bipod on there. The bipod is 100% necessary on a rifle like this. I think for the most part, it's going to be shot in the prone no matter what. I don't think... I think, although, yes, you can shoot this from a shouldered position, similar to like a 249 or a 240. Could you do that for a string of fire, burping it out? Yes, absolutely. But are you going to want to do that for extended periods of time? No, absolutely not. So I think that is 100% ideal. You could probably shave some weight and go with the red dot optic, but I actually really did enjoy the magnified, fixed magnification optic, prism optic on here. I think that's definitely the way. A side note on this Magpul D29 round magazine here, unbelievably impressed. Why am I impressed? Because I purchased this magazine over 6 years ago, okay? If you're not aware, drum magazines, leaving normal magazines loaded, not a big deal. Drum magazines being left loaded historically has been a major, major problem, okay? You've never been able to do that. I have had that loaded for over 6 years in a long-term test. I plugged it into this rifle. The entire magazine fed without a hiccup. Unbelievably impressed. Like, I was dumbfounded at the range. So if you were ever looking for a magazine of this nature to leave loaded in some sort of a defensive gun, I would not even hesitate for a second. There is your indication that if that was left loaded in your home for over 6 years, you're still going to be able to grab it and let it rip in your rifle, and it's going to be just fine. So that, I thought, was, again, unbelievably impressive. We have to talk about the gas of the setup. Fucking inhaled that shit. This is a gassy rifle. It was a lot. So yes, you have your adjustable gas up there. It has the Raptor SD for a reason. But when I was running it suppressed, obviously the entire time, when you start getting into those high rates of fire, the gas is almost unbearable sometimes. And man, I got a big old inhale accidentally on this. It's not great for you, okay? I mean, all joking aside, you really got to be careful when it comes to this stuff. Not trying to be a safety Nazi or anything like that, but there's a lot of toxic crap going on when you're shooting a rifle suppressed, especially with high rates of fire. And that was on the proper gas setting. So be aware. Maybe like a PRI gas buster might not be a bad idea, just routing it completely away. I'd be very curious to see this set up with one of the KAK suppressed bolt carrier groups shooting the gas downward. I think you would have no issues connecting with this 20-inch barrel. You're cranking out the velocity, again, increasing that horrifying aspect of this rifle in the best possible way. You're in that like 1200 range, I believe, maybe even getting closer to the 13 range. For an upper like this, I would not even hesitate at that. That's very, very impressive to deliver this type of quality in that type of price range, especially when the competitors like a Fight Light or something like that, obviously this is not belt fed, but a Fight Light being in the 7, almost 8, and their total dog shit has been my experience with Fight Light so far. I would definitely say this is a very viable choice. Jury's still out on the FRT in this. I don't know, guys. Again, my experience with these has been very hit or miss. 700 rounds is a massive torture test. It's still operational right now. Nothing broke on it or anything like that. But I just think when you're pushing these triggers to their limit, If anything's going to fail in this setup, I do not believe it's going to be the upper. I think your culprit's going to be up in here. That is going to wrap up this video. I know it's a longer one, but there was a lot to go over in this setup. If you have any other questions about this rifle, let me know down in the comment section below. I will try my hardest to get back to you. While you're down there, head up to the description, check out those ways to support the channel, and as always, stay tuned for more great content coming soon.